गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीर। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय पतित पावन गौरनिताय। प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री सुनिताय गौरचंद्र की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1st, Chapter 13, entitled Dhritarashtra Quits Home, Text 44. Yanmanyase dhruvaṁ lokam adhruvaṁ vānacho bhayam sarvathā nahi śocyāste snehād anyatra mohajāt। यन्मन्यसे ध्रुवं लोकम अध्रुवं वानचोभयम् सर्वथा नहि शोच्यास्ते स्नेहाद अन्यत्र मोहजात। यन्मन्यसे ध्रुवं लोकम अध्रुवं वानचोभयम् सर्वथा नहि शोच्यास्ते स्नेहादन्यत्र मोहजात। यन्मन्यसे ध्रुवं लोकम अध्रुवं वानचोभयम् सर्वथा नहि शोच्यास्ते स्नेहादन्यत्र मोहजात् अध्रुवं वानचोभयम् सर्वथा नहि शोच्यास्ते स्नेहादन्यत्र मोहजात्। माताजी, यन्मन्यसे ध्रुवं लोकम् अध्रुवं वानचोभयम् सर्वथा नहि शोच्यास्ते snehād mohajāt. What word meaning? Yat, even though, manyase, you think, dhruvaṁ, absolute truth, lokam, persons, adhruvaṁ, non-reality, va, either, na or not, cha, also, उभयम or both wise, sarvathā, in all circumstances, na, never, he, certainly, śocyās, subject for lamentation, te, they, snehād, due to affection, anyatra, or otherwise, mohajāt, due to bewilderment. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. O King, in all circumstances, whether you consider the soul to be an eternal principle, or the material body to be perishable, or everything to exist in impersonal absolute truth, or everything to be an inexplicable combination of matter and spirit, feelings of separation are due only to illusory affection and nothing more. Purport. The actual fact is that every living being is an individual part and parcel of the Supreme Being, and his constitutional position is subordinate cooperative service. Either in his conditional material existence or in his liberated position of full knowledge and eternity, the living entity is eternally under the control of the Supreme Lord. But those who are not conversant with factual knowledge put forward many speculative propositions about the real position of the living entity. It is admitted, however, by all schools of philosophy that the living being is eternal and that the covering of body of the five material elements is perishable and temporary. The eternal living entity transmigrates from one material body to another by the laws of karma, and material bodies are perishable by their fundamental structures. Therefore, there is nothing to be lamented in the case of souls being transferred into another body, or the material bodies perishing at a certain stage. There are others also who believe in the merging of the spirit soul in the Supreme Spirit when it is uncovered by material engagement. And there are others also who do not believe in the existence of spirit or soul, but believe in tangible matter. In our daily experience, we find so many transformations of matter from one form to another, but we do not lament such changing features. In either of the above cases, the force of divine energy is unshakable. No one has any hand in it, and thus there is no cause of grief. Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsha नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। कम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणम्। Hare Krishna. So I welcome you all for the Srimad Bhagavatam discussion this morning, and I seek blessings of all the Vaishnavas assembled here. I, speaking really my heart, I accept this service because that gives an opportunity to absorb into Srimad Bhagavatam and also to purify my heart. But I always feel I know for myself how utterly unqualified I am to be sitting here and speaking in this august assembly of all very sincere Vaishnavas. But I do this audacity just to get an opportunity to serve and to absorb. And I pray that whatever I speak be in parampara and pleasing to all of you, and glorification of the Lord can be done. So I seek all of your blessings. So, I was recently, few days back, hearing a statement. It's a punchline statement. Put it, I mean, something very profound, put in a very crisp words, few words. So it goes like this. It said, when you grow, you change. When you change, you grow. So I was just meditating on this. Saying when you grow, you change, and that's natural. So as probably age grows, time passes, so the body will grow initially, then dwindle. Mental situations also change. So when we are growing, when the time is passing, there is change. That's quite natural. But the other part is interesting. It said when you change, you grow. That means it's actually a choice. Actually, this will of samsara. So many times in Bhagavatam, it talks about will of samsara. Or we know that Mahabharat serial, devotees quote about it. Main kaal hu. And then what was shown? The will. Why there is this will? Because it is in constant motion. The time goes on. And this nature of samsara is there is constant change. It's not static. So the will of samsara moves on constantly. And to accept the inevitable change which will come our way is actually to flow with the current of samsara. Actually, Krishna wants it. Krishna does not want us to hold on to a certain situation or certain role or certain position. With the passage of time, everything changes. And it is Krishna's desire that we flow with the passage of time. We need to accept that inevitable change. I was recently reading something from Govind Prabhu's article. He says that Autocratic leaders fear that they would be rendered irrelevant with such a change, ultimate of which is death. At death, actually everything changes. What role or what situation we are in, that whole thing has to be given up and another thing has to be accepted. That is death. But demoniac tendency is to resist this change. Like example is given of Kamsa, Duryodhana, Hiranyakashipu, all these demons. They wanted to resist the change. They felt, if I have to give up this life and then accept another role, it will be just not possible for me to accept that change. I will be left irrelevant. Right? So he says, by means of selective vision, such demoniac people, they choose to ignore the legacy of change. Instead, they attempt to be a permanent legacy themselves. So moving is inevitable in this world. Right? So by holding on to one thing or one place or one role is Kamsahood. Just like Kamsa wanted to hold on. He did not want to die. Death is inevitable. Its part is as much important part of life, as much important as life itself. But Kamsa wanted to hold on. But Krishna does not allow this. Krishna ensures that the will of the samsara is in constant motion. As soon as he senses obstacle, he clears it. Just as he eliminated Kamsa and many others, so that the life could continue flow unhindered. Dhritarashtra had this disease. He wanted to hold on. The very name Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra means determined to hold on to the role and position he was. And it's a wonderful lesson that many times, even in spiritual life, it might happen. That we may become an instrument in creating something, and then we hold on to it thinking, this is mine. I can't give it up. And that's the Dhritarashtra mentality. And this entire chapter, we saw from the beginning how Vidura gave such profound instructions to Dhritarashtra. And to the credit of Dhritarashtra, compared to other personalities, I mentioned just now the other demons like Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, Dhritarashtra's credit is he accepted the instruction. Kamsa also had the good advice of council of Mandodari. Ravana has Mandodari's advice. Kamsa was also given good advice by Narada and other personalities. Bhibhishan was also there for Ravana. For Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad Maharaj was there. But they could not appreciate these good instructions. Dhritarashtra, although late, but accepted the instructions of Vidura and he left. Dhritarashtra quits home. That is the chapter. But then now these verses we see that after Dhritarashtra has gone away, Yudhishthir Maharaj is overwhelmed with feelings of separation and he is lamenting. And that time Narad Muni has appeared and Narad Muni is giving wonderful instructions and philosophical insights to Yudhishthir Maharaj. There are two instructions mainly which Narad Muni gives to Yudhishthir Maharaj. There is a wonderful philosophical enlightenment and two instructions. Narad Muni said, these two are majorly, don't be anxious for the protection of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Narad Muni told Yudhishthir Maharaj, don't be anxious, because now we will see the next few verses, this will come as a theme, where Narad Muni says that actually Krishna is the ultimate protector. And we ourselves are in the grip of material existence. What can we do to protect others, especially on the material platform? Nothing much can be done. So do not worry about their protection. Like Yudhishthir Maharaj was worried, oh, they have gone into jungle. Where have they gone? They are old. So I worry about their protection. So Narad Muni said, don't worry about their protection. And the second instruction he gave is, don't be overwhelmed with the feelings of separation for jivas in this world, because it is inevitable and according to the plan of Supreme Lord. So these feelings of separation. So don't be overwhelmed with these feelings. These are two things mainly which Narada instructed Yudhishthir Maharaj. So I will just touch upon the first part and then elaborate second one, because that's the verse we have. And the further verses is going to be the first part I spoke about. But I have something which really affected me in my life. So I'm just going to share that story. So about the protection, right? Who can protect? We cannot give protection to anybody in this world. So in the fifth canto also, in the section of Bharat Maharaj, and Bharat Maharaj is offering protection to the baby deer. Prabhupada gives wonderful, very profound purports there. Prabhupada, one very punching statement. Simple, but yet very important for us to always remember. As far as material body is concerned, no one can do anything for anyone. Prabhupada says. As far as material body is concerned, no one can do anything for anyone. Rakhe Krishna Mare Krishna Rakhe ke. That's the law, that is the reality. So I remember when I was working and I was just about to give up the working phase of my life and join the Brahmachari ashram. So a few months back, before that, I was just on those thoughts and making plans and keeping, kind of facing the challenges. So that time I had visited my hometown a few months back, maybe 5-6 months back, before of that, not back, before that. And I met one of my cousin brother who was elder to me. He was like 15-20 years elder than me. He was married, but still young. He was in his late 30s, maybe 35, 36. And he was in border security force. He was working in Delhi for many days. He was a national champion in swimming. So as participated in so many, at his home, there are so many of those, trophies won. And because of his that sports, he also got selected in BSF. So he was working in Delhi. And that time when I met him, he told me that actually I have given up that job in BSF and I have shifted to Nagpur, which is just a couple of hours from my hometown, and taken a simple job of a teacher. So I was surprised. I said, I didn't know, why did you do that? He said, now my parents, he was the only son. So he said, parents are becoming old and they need any time, anything can happen. They are not keeping good health. So I thought from Delhi, it is so far to come all the way. It's going to be difficult. So anytime they need me, I'm just couple of hours. I took a job here so that I can come. And we all appreciated that. Yeah, very nice. It's a good decision. You have made some sacrifice also. So he was thinking this way. And then after almost 3 months or so, after this interaction, I received a call from another relative. And he said, on the call, he was saying, don't get disturbed. I'm going to tell you something. I said, what happened? So he said, this person, so he is my brother who spoke with me that day. So he had got a heart attack and he died even before he was taken to hospital. He was playing with children at his school. Suddenly he felt some pain in his heart, and by the time even he reached doctor, he was dead. So I was wondering after that here he was thinking about how will I protect my parents. He made that arrangement. Now parents are getting old. Anytime anything can happen to them, they may need me. So he came all the way sacrificing. And now still parents are there. They stay very close to the home, which my parents' home, and they're still there. But he left so many years back, quite young and quite athletic, and a sportman. So here, that's what, and it had such a profound effect that time. And I would quote that to my parents when they talk about who will take care of us. I said, Srila Prabhupada writes in Lilamrud also, and Prabhupada took sannyas. Prabhupada's meditation is, Prabhupada says that when somebody dies in accident, a young man also in a family, then what do we say to the family? Oh, Krishna will take care. Lord, God will take care. Now this has happened, God will take care. Then why not now, Prabhupada says. If we give this life for Krishna, then why will he not take care? Now also he will take care. So like that, I was meditating. This is what Yudhishthir Maharaj also here is told by Narad Muni. That, ultimately Krishna is protecting. Krishna is the protector. So you don't worry about the protection. So that will be the further discussion. I won't elaborate on that further. That will be discussed ahead. And the second part, second instruction given by Narada is, don't be overwhelmed with these feelings of separation. They are inevitable. Like in this purport we just now read, in the verse, it says that feelings of separation are only due to illusory affection and nothing more. Right? Snehād, anyatra, mohajāt. It is illusion. So give it up. Right? That is what Narada is saying, and Srila Prabhupada also towards the end of purport mentions that. But very interestingly, I'm just going to take a little tangent, and because this particular aspect is discussed in the previous classes by the previous speakers very nicely. So I'm going to take a different kind of a discussion on this. I'm going to talk more about these feelings, this phenomenon of emotions, of feelings. So here it is said that the feelings of separation are illusory, because it is because of illusory affection. Then what should be done? They should be given up. One should not have that kind of feelings. But is it possible to not have the emotions or feelings? Srila Prabhupada himself contradicts, apparently, himself. 1.8.42 purport, first chapter, first canto, 8th verse, 42nd purport. Prabhupada says, this is the quote, I'm quoting Prabhupada directly, he says, to cut off the ties of all other affections does not mean complete negation of the finer elements like affection for someone else. That is not possible. A living entity, whoever he may be, must have this feeling of affection for others, because this is symptom of life. The symptoms of life, such as desire, anger, hankerings, feelings of attraction and separation, etc., cannot be annihilated. So here Prabhupada is saying, and the verse is saying, feelings of separation and affection is illusory. And there Srila Prabhupada is saying, it is a symptom of life. It cannot be given up. It has to be there. It is a part of life. Then how do we reconcile? So that's what we are going to discuss, the further discussion. So feelings or emotions are not only natural for a living entity, but it's also very integral part of sadhaka's journey and progress into bhakti. What does Srila Prabhupada name our society? Hindi translation of that? Krishna, Antarrashtriya Krishna Bhavanamrut Sangha. So Bhavana means emotions or feelings. So the very name of the society where we are suggests that there have to be feelings. Prabhupada says if somebody is alive, he will have feelings or emotions. Right. So there is one Srila Prabhupada disciple, very senior devotee, his name is Purna Chandra Prabhu. One of his books I was reading, I am quoting something from his books. He says, should we wait until we purify our feelings till Bhava Bhakti? So Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti, we have pure feelings for Krishna. So should we wait till the time we have pure feelings before we engage our present feelings in the Lord's service? What about the feelings that we have now? He asks this. He says that, we definitely understand feelings about Krishna. And those feelings will arise in the stage of Bhava Bhakti. Then what about the feelings now? Are they not important? Then he quotes, he says, no, Srila Prabhupada very much encouraged that a devotee has to be, has to engage his feelings. So he gives example, like Srila Prabhupada said, you should preach like with the heart of a Bengali mother and courage of a British soldier. So that means feeling. Srila Prabhupada writes in his Bhagavatam purport of 1.8.26. He says, actually the Lord's holy name has such powerful potency, but there is a quality to such utterances also. It depends on the quality of feeling. Prabhupada says, chant with feeling. How many of you heard this? Chant with feeling. And Prabhupada gives example of Draupadi, or definitely Draupadi's example, and also example of a small child. Prabhupada said, just like the small child has utter dependence on the mother and is crying out, with that feeling we should chant the holy name of the Lord. So Prabhupada is saying that yes, the feelings have to be used. Then 1.6.22 purport. 1.6.22. A living being cannot be vacant of desires. He is not a dead stone. He must be working, thinking, feeling and willing. But when he thinks, feels and wills materially, he becomes entangled. And conversely, when he thinks, feels and wills for the service of the Lord, he becomes gradually freed from all entanglement. This is Prabhupada's quote. So Prabhupada is saying that feeling is to be there, But material feelings has to be gradually purified and spiritual feelings has to be awakened in the heart. Like that. But we all, at this stage of our Krishna consciousness, we do have material feelings. Right? Not all the feelings are connected with Krishna, or not all of them are purely spiritual in nature. Rather, while dealing right in the association of Vaishnavas, many times feelings do come which may apparently material. Now, is it a fault, or is it something unnatural? No. Srimad Bhagavatam gives many examples of even great Mahabhagavat devotees also having material feelings, apparently. For example, in the third canto, there is example of 4 Kumaras. When they went to the gates of Vaikuntha, they became angry on Jaya and Vijay. And if we read those purports, Srila Prabhupada says this is a material feeling of anger. They became angry on another devotee. How many of us ever became, at least here may not be, became angry on another devotee? It's a material feeling at times. But Kumaras became angry also. Then Dhruva Maharaj in the 4th canto. And Dhruva Maharaj is already liberated. He got darshan of the Lord. He got the blessings. Lord touched his conch shell on the head of Dhruva Maharaj and is purified. But that same Dhruva Maharaj in the liberated stage became angry on Yakshas when Uttama, his brother, was killed. And it's a material feeling. So Srila Prabhupada there writes, this is a Bhagavatam verse, 4.10.4. It says, when Dhruva Maharaj heard of the killing of his brother Uttama by Yakshas in the Himalayas, being overwhelmed with lamentation and anger, he got on his chariot and went out for victory over the city of Alankapuri, Yaksha's city. So he is overwhelmed with lamentation and anger. It's feeling. So Prabhupada comments in the purport of this verse, Dhruva Maharaj is becoming angry, overwhelmed with grief and envious of the enemies, was not incompatible with his position as a great devotee. Was not incompatible with his position as great devotee. It is misunderstanding that a devotee should not be angry, envious, or overwhelmed with lamentation. Ms. Prabhupada. So he's saying that even at that stage of liberated stage of Dhruva Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada is saying that his feelings are not incompatible with his being a great devotee. Like that. Then there is another example of Priyavrat Maharaj in the 5th canto. So it is, Shukadeva Goswami is explaining, Priyavrat Maharaj's son is Agnidhara. And he happens to be, very not so devotional. He was not a pure devotee. He had material motives. And then it is explained that how can Priyavrat Maharaj, who is a very great devotee, his son be like this? He was a little lusty. So then Shukadeva Goswami explains that Priyavrat Maharaj momentarily became lusty while having union with his wife. So again, the question is, how can a Mahabhagavat like Priyavrat Maharaj, disciple of Narada, did not even want to get into material life ever, became more lusty? So it is momentarily he became lusty when he was conceiving Agnidhara. And that's why Agnidhara was born like this. So it's a material feeling of lust, which Priyavrat Maharaj, momentarily, it was not a great fall down, but momentarily that came. And then the example ahead is given of Jada Bharat. So I'll read the purport, the translation of 5.13.24, 5th canto, 13th verse. It is said, Shukadeva Goswami continued, my dear king, O son of Mother Uttara, there were, so this is when Jada Bharat is holding the palanquin, is carrying the palanquin of Rahugana, and Rahugana Maharaj chastises Jada Bharat and speaks that harsh words. Right? So that time, what was the reaction of Jada Bharat is mentioned. There were some waves of dissatisfaction in the mind of Jada Bharat due to his being insulted by King Rahugana, who made him carry his palanquin. But Jada Bharat neglected this and his heart again became calm and quiet like an ocean. Like that. Although Rahugana insulted him, he was great Paramhamsa, and the verse goes on. But what do we see here? That even Jada Bharat Maharaj became dissatisfied in his mind and became agitated because of the insult. But he didn't react on that. But there were feelings of dissatisfaction in the heart of Jada Bharat. So the point is that even at an exalted situation in the material life, there could be emotions. There are emotions, there are feelings which are material in nature. So what to speak of the struggling sadhakas who are still on the journey to that exalted situation, to the position. So how to deal, remaining time we will speak about how to deal with such kind of emotions. They are there, and what to do with them. Should we just negate them? Should we deny them? That, oh, they are not there. These are all sentimentalism, not speak about feelings and not address them. No, that's not the solution. Then we will just try to see what to do. So there are three kinds of feelings basically. I was just trying to kind of think about this. There are three kinds of feelings we can think which we all experience at different times, the emotions. One is pure spiritual emotions or spiritually nourishing emotions. So either they are, like for example, ecstasy sometime while hearing a nice kirtan or a wonderful class, and sometimes that ecstasy manifests as ashtasatvik vikar, also people falling on the ground and right, all that happens. Or, the dependence on Guru, Krishna, the feeling of gratitude to Hari, Guru, Vaishnava. These are all spiritually nourishing emotions. We do experience them at times. So this is one category of emotions which are wanted. They have to be cultivated. They have to be increased. We should increase them. And that's going to be another discussion, that how do we develop these emotions in the heart? How do we increase the quantity of such emotions? They are wanted. This is one category. The second category is apparently non-harmful material emotions. So they are good emotions like affection, compassion, appreciation, gratitude, not in spiritual context, but in material context. Like we also feel gratitude for someone outside the material, spiritual realm, in the material circle, or affection, compassion. These are good qualities. But how I just wanted to make it clear that it is apparently non-harmful. They are non-harmful emotions, but they are apparently non-harmful because they also have to be applied with caution. The example is given of Bharat Maharaj himself. So he became overly compassionate with the deer. So Acharyas explain, when Bharat Maharaj saved the deer, and the compassion and affection he felt for the deer was not wrong. It was actually good quality. It is a noble quality. But that feeling, when it was overly applied or misapplied, then it became harmful for his progress of devotional service. Srila Prabhupada, in one of his lectures, Srila Prabhupada explains one incident. He says, when he was Grihastha that time, he says, home next to Prabhupada, there was two brothers, one elder brother and younger brother, the family. And he said, one day I heard the mother was beating the younger child so much, and he was crying and shouting. So I sent my servants to see what has happened. Why is she beating so much? So then the person came and told Prabhupada, actually this elder brother, he has typhoid. But and in typhoid, you should not eat oily food, and the restriction of diet. But this younger brother, he gave him puris, paratha and puri. Because this elder brother asked him, can you just give me some, I'm feeling so hungry, they are not giving me good food. So, and his younger brother, out of his affection, not understanding what is good for him, he gave them puri. And then the mother gave so much beating because they aggravated the disease. So Srila Prabhupada quotes that in the lecture, and he says that if we do not know where and how to apply these sentiments, even kindness and affection, they can actually become detrimental. So these are good feelings, but if they are not properly applied under guidance, then they can become detrimental for ourselves and for the other person also, for his spiritual advancement. We could be punished if we do not apply them properly. We need to exercise caution, knowledge, and reason. Prabhupada says. So we have to be cautious, we should, and knowledgeable. We should apply these emotions knowledgeably. And reason, and also under guidance, we can do this. So this is about the third category. The first one is spiritual emotions are spiritually nourishing. And the second one is apparently non-harmful material emotions. But they should also be there. And third thing is, the third category is harmful material emotions. They could be harmful for our spiritual progress. So they are like envy, greed, unhealthy guilt, lamentation, jealousy, unhealthy competition, material separation. Just like here, Yudhishthir Maharaj is feeling. These are unhealthy. They drag the sadhaka to the tamo guna. Most of this. And from there, to lift ourselves and make spiritual advancement is difficult. So such emotions are also there. But how do we deal with them now? If they come, that is the third part. So it is, Purna Chandra Prabhu, he says that if we avoid feelings and emotions out of fear or simply to escape material entanglement, that avoidance may take us to some first base in Krishna consciousness, but we will never make it all the way home back to Godhead without devotional feelings. At some point, we will have to deal with these emotions. Like that. So I was just thinking to make it more easy to remember. So there are 5 aspects to this dealing with these emotions. 5 E's. The first is express such feelings and emotion to the right person at right time. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Nigraham kim karishyasi. What will regression accomplish? Regression means, repression. Sorry. When you just deny these emotions, when you just hold them back and not express them, then eventually they become so overwhelming. It is like a volcano which will erupt and then destroy much more. Much more destruction will be caused. So such feelings are there and we need to acknowledge, yeah, it is there. But to express it in a proper way, to a proper person. Like here, Yudhishthir Maharaj is expressing to Narada. We see that many examples in Bhagavatam. When Vyasadeva felt despondent, he also went to his guru, Narad Muni, and expressed his feeling of despondency. So many such examples we can give. So we have to express such feelings at right time to a right person, first of all. Not just deny them or not just, keep on neglecting them or avoiding them. And the second part is when we express it to right person, then we will receive enlightenment. That's second D. Express and enlightenment. Just like here, Narada is telling Yudhishthir Maharaj that these feelings of separations, especially on the material platform, they are not worth it. And he is giving Sambandha Gyan. Like this morning we were hearing from Sachidanand Swami Maharaj that the sadhu will give Sambandha Gyan. And when that Sambandha Gyan is repeatedly, we may hear but we will forget it. Especially when the situation comes, when we are overwhelmed with these emotions, we may apparently forget that Sambandha Gyan. But when we come in touch with the sadhu, he will remind us of that Sambandha Gyan. And he will remind us of the prayojan also, the goal. And when the Sambandha and goal is clear, then automatically Abhideya will be in line. And we will also, we can come back to the position we are in, we should be in. Then so this is second thing should be done when we are overwhelmed with such emotions. Third thing is we have to put ourselves into encouraging association. Third E. So one thing is to go to an exalted personality, a spiritually advanced personality, reveal your heart and take enlightenment, seek enlightenment. But also we should have a sangha which is encouraging, right, to deal with such emotions when we go through our life. So the example in the Shastra is about Kala Krishna Das, when he came back with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected him. Oh, he became lusty there. And he went with these women, Bhattahari women. So Mahaprabhu rejected. And he did not want, apparently, just to teach lesson. But what was the reaction of the other Vaishnavas? They still showed acceptance to him. He said, okay, if not that seva, something else you can do. And they sent him to Bengal, to serve Mother Shachi. So when we go through such emotions, like for example, some guilt, when we are struggling with Maya, there will be apparent failures while dealing with Maya. Sometimes personal defeats, sometimes institutional defeats, sometimes the defeat could be on, preaching mission. It could happen. But when we have an encouraging association where we are accepted, when we are reassured, okay, it's not the end of the whole thing. You can still do something else. You can continue serving Krishna in some other way. Then that actually gives the strength. That is very important. So it is very important to have such association which is built on the acceptance. We accept. And the association of devotees who believe in you and gives you courage to get up again and try. So that kind of association is encouraging association, is very much needed. And in this such association, after these three things, then one should do enthusiastic sadhana. One should have enthusiasm to perform, to connect with Krishna, who is the source of all positivity. So one should perform enthusiastic sadhana, take shelter of the holy name, take shelter of the Lord incessantly. And finally, one should have engaging seva. So the mind, which is now dwelling upon the negative emotions and overwhelmed with it, should be given other food for thought. So we should have some seva which engages the mind, which is very absorbing. So like that, these are 5 things. So I won't elaborate much, but expressing, not just denying, but expressing it to the right person at the right time, and seeking enlightenment, that's second, and placing ourselves in encouraging association, and then performing in that association enthusiastic sadhana and engaging seva. This is how we can deal with this, overwhelming situations when the negative emotions, they kind of affect our heart, and then we will be able to come out of this. So this is what here Yudhishthir Maharaj is happening with him. He is helped by Narada. It is not that Yudhishthir Maharaj is saying, oh, I'm such a great devotee, how can I express this emotion? No, he is just feeling that separation and he's just expressing that, and he's being held by Narada Muni, right? So that way we can also deal with it, and also these emotions can be, they can't be denied, but they can be controlled. So these emotions have to be controlled and in the limit, and we have to make sure that this does not affect our spiritual journeys. They can be channelized, and the positive emotions, they should be furthered, they should be increased. So like that we can deal with it. So in summary, I just discussed about how Dhritarashtra's folly was explained in this chapter, where he held on to his position. He did not want to give up his kingdom, and that tendency is also there. That's a demonic tendency. Sometimes we may witness that tendency in our hearts. We have to be careful and work on it. We have to understand the will of samsara. It's in constant motion, and happily we accepted the change. We would be able to move on with Krishna's plan. And then we discussed about the 2 instructions given by Narada here. One thing is, don't lament out of feeling of separation, and don't worry for the protection of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, because Krishna is the ultimate protector. And then we saw that this phenomenon of feeling, that although here Prabhupada is saying it is illusory, but elsewhere Prabhupada also mentions that they are natural. The feelings are natural. And we saw there are 3 kinds of feelings we experience: spiritually nourishing feelings, and material feelings which are apparently non-harmful, and material feelings which could be harmful. So we saw that how to deal with them. Mainly those spiritually nourishing feelings we should want to cultivate more, and the apparently unharmful, non-harmful feelings, they should be expressed but with caution. Misapplication can be detrimental. And third thing, the feelings which are We also saw examples of great devotees who also went through such kind of feelings, like Bharat Maharaj, Jada Bharat, Dhruva Maharaj, and Priya Maharaj. We saw their example. And finally, we saw this 5E formula to deal with harmful material feelings. Express them to the right person in the right time, and take enlightenment. And then the third thing is encouraging association. The fourth is enthusiastic sadhana, and the fifth one is engaging seva. That's how we can deal with such emotions and continue on our journey. That is what here Yudhishthira Maharaj is doing. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari.